Hey guys, welcome to the final hackathon of this Learning Hackathon 2 event that we're doing, and this time we're looking at competitive differentiation. We tried to see, we wanted to give a simple problem statement, largely because we wanted more participation from maybe product managers. The last one was about design, so we wanted to see if the product side of things can come out, and that's why we had a problem statement on Hotstar. I'll just give you a little bit of insight as to why we chose Hotstar and why we chose competitive differentiation as the topic. So I'll give you an example of, say, Instagram. Now, if you have a great product and you have a great use case to solve, but your competitor is doing something that they're doing something better than you, right? You and me might say that just copying that feature off is not a good approach. You should be innovative. You should think about great things. But given the cutting edge nature of all digital products today, if you, hey, hi Sagar, welcome to the stream. Given the competitive nature of the businesses that are there in the digital realm today, if you aren't as good as your competitor, at least in those key areas, because the products aren't too different, you are most likely losing out. And I come back to Instagram because Snapchat, for example, brought about stories. Instagram literally copied it, but look what Instagram has been able to do with it. So you have a core competency. What did Instagram have? Its core competency was a huge user base, and it was tied to Facebook in some way, so it could get people in, and then it could push out to a larger audience. So basically, if you have a great feature which a competitor is doing decently and has brought to the market, you can then leverage that feature against your kind of audience. Same thing with Hotstar. So Hotstar, and this is something that every one of you who submitted the solutions or otherwise should understand, Hotstar is largely existent because of cricket and the digital rights it has. It is trying to do specials, it is trying to do premium, it has serials, it has a great catalog, it has great content by Star. But the reason why Hotstar works is because of the live streams of IPL matches and the World Cup right now, and also future ICC events. It's given a lot of money for that, and that was the basis of the origin of Hotstar. I remember when we were doing Wink videos, Hotstar was just emerging at the same time. But Wink videos did not have the catalog, the digital catalog, to back up the claim of we have content. Whereas Hotstar already said we have these rights, etc., etc. We are going to leverage it, and you can see that they're doing it progressively. Right, the integrations are coming about very, very nicely, and they've been able to leverage a lot of things. But a lot of the features from competitors, maybe they can pull off, and they can even make the experience even better, which you have actually shared. And some of the features are common. And at the end of it, we'll also discuss on the features and how they impact actual users. So we had about 5 solutions, as such 4. Meet also gave in a submission, but we couldn't consider it because we given text. And this is something we want feedback on you also. How can we make it simpler for you to share your inputs? Because we want a thought process more than anything else. We don't want the PPT, etc. Because we understand that creating PPTs and all of that is a challenge. You want to make it as simple as possible. Maybe via platform, maybe a platform that works today, which is WhatsApp. So Meet gave an example of that. We didn't consider it, but yeah, 4 to 5 solutions. We'll start with Mumtaz. So what Mumtaz tried to do is try to do something of a usability kind of a look. The thing is, as a usability solution, if you guys remember what Mumtaz had earlier done, was a lot of text. So he's taken that feedback in, and he's focused largely on the impact creating part, which is looking at the screen and trying to annotate and show. So this is a nice approach. Now, only challenge in this is that this was not the problem statement. The problem statement, as you can remember, is to see what the competitor is doing well and suggest that exact feature only, and only 3 of those. Now I'll come to why only 3 of those. So you can see he's listed the features, and I'll just zoom in to some of them. So he's gone to the metrics. So the metrics that we suggested was just a way of going about the problem, but not solving for the metric. And I mean that is that you don't have to.
Akshay, don't want to cut you, but I think your screen is not shared. Like,
oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I just got a little lost in that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll just share my screen. Right. Okay. Good. Thanks, Irish. Okay. So this is what Mumtaz given. So if you remember last time, what he's given was a lot of text. So he's taken that feedback in, and that's great to show, great to see. And he's focused on the visual element of trying to annotate and find out what are the usability issues, which is a very fair way of doing things. But as I was saying, that we are focusing more on the competitor and what 3 features you can pick from competition. So he's gone and listed all. Now, the problem with this, I'll come at the very end once I show all these features. So he's tried to look at metrics and tried to say that, for each metric, what all you can do. These are not incorrect points, but if you look at the problem statement, and here's where the skill of a product manager, more than a designer, comes in, is that a product manager, I remember my days, we had a list of a product backlog, that's what it's called, the terminology. We have a product backlog of about 50 features that we want to put on the app. We already know what the user wants. We've got user feedback. We've got all such of, marketing has said this, there's a launch coming, competition is doing. We've got a list of 50. Now the product manager's job with the product head is to prioritize on the top 5 or 6 ones that you need to put in the next sprint, because then the tech team can get behind it, the designers can get behind it, and then ship the product. Others, if I list out 50, it's very easy for me to do. We are not looking at ideation. We are looking at what is the most important thing. And that is a very difficult task, let me tell you. Because sometimes you'll have different kind of, one feature is for 1 million people, the other is for only 10,000. But 10,000 people, the experience improves tremendously, increases the retention. Whereas here you will have people coming in and leaving your app. So you have these nuances, and that's why you need to focus on, when we say 3, you have to, this is the same thing from Domino's. I remember the last one. Some of the guys had listed down all the things that can be done. You're not looking at that. The difference between a hack and, trying to ideate, we're not looking for ideation, is that ideation can be very vague. It's like a funnel kind of thing. So the funnel, we are not looking at the funnel right now. We are looking at the way of execution. What can we do which will improve the app from competitors? Stick to the problem statement. So fair submission, but for this problem statement, it doesn't kind of fit in. That was our feedback to him as well. One good thing is, again, that he stuck to the feedback that we'd given previously, and he just shared the most impactful part. Anyway, so there you get an option to see these solutions. You can go ahead and check all the things that he suggested. They are all very, very fair points. But as I said, you need to pick only 3. And the X Factor one didn't feel like true X Factor ones. So we let them know that as well. Then we had Kshitij, this is his first submission. Love Kshitij. And I believe he's a product manager. He's not on call. But what he's done is something that is absolutely almost spot on. I mean, this is just a 4-slider. I mean, actually, as such, only 3 slides. So one is the intro slide. Just a 2-slider, and in 2 slides, he's captured exactly what we need. This is very similar to what Sagar had done, if you guys remember from the first one. Sticking to the problem statement, that in itself is a great way of trying to solve a problem. So what he says is, one of the features, and I'll come to this at the end, is adding comment section below videos. I think even Girish has somewhat, this is his X Factor kind of solution. He's kind of said that, do it like YouTube. This will increase the engagement over a period of time. Hotstar will have enough data. And I'll show you certain examples of this. We'll just go through this quickly and come to these points from both Girish and Love Kshitij at the end. X-ray. So this is a nice feature, a cool feature, I would say. How relevant it is, I don't know. X-ray is a feature in Prime Videos, tells the name of the characters in video. Adding this feature will lead to more engagement. Okay, fair enough. And inbox. Okay, so this is very interesting actually, because basically what he's saying is that inbox gives you a notification for your favorite video channels. Adding inbox feature will help users to stay updated with new favorite shows. Now, slight difference, right? If you compare what Hotstar is and what YouTube is, the difference comes in because in Hotstar, what you've got is user-generated content, right? Hence, you've got channels. In this case, you don't have user-generated content, hence the parlance of channels doesn't come in. Hotstar controls what kind of shows go on. So you can, I don't think you can subscribe to shows, but it's favorite or watch list you can add. But maybe they can build that in, make a subscribe kind of thing for a channel, because people understand that. And maybe they could even open up avenues for user-generated content, at least certified user-generated content, maybe from T-Series, etc. So those were 3 good suggestions. And he also had an X Factor suggestion. Just pull that up for you. It's pretty hot in Delhi, guys, so I'm sweating a lot today, but bear with me. Yeah, part B. So the X Factor, 40% weightage, watch and get rewarded. Interesting feature. So what he's trying to do is gamify. Basically, he's saying that reward users to watch videos. Under watch and get rewarded features will get rewarded for watching the videos every 30 minutes. Watch this. These are then just parameters, right? 30 minutes you get 1 reward point. We can do a lot of things. Yes, it's an interesting kind of thing. I would say this is where we are going to go to. Somebody recently mentioned that in India we've got a lot of time, and time is the new money, so to speak. Not time as in time used to do work, but time spent on screens. So people are monetizing that, and if there is a way whereby a user can get back from spending time on app, and people actually do that. There are use cases for this very nature. That is a very nice it has to be built out a little bit more. Maybe that has to be elaborated a little bit more, how that reward system works and what are the checks and balances. But it's a nice suggestion from Lavchit. So a very nice submission, very clean and very simple, very easy to understand. And you can take a look at it later on in case you want the textual version to be read through and through. Then we come to Farooq. So Farooq had shared 2 files. So this is one file and the other one is a Figma file. So I'll go to the, so this is not actually, I would say, part of the submission per se, but I think this is how you went about thinking. We didn't want this, we clearly mentioned we don't want to compare it. So it's not a submission. Consider it more as his line of thinking. So if you can see, and maybe later on you can check out more, he's compared each of these features that the app makers have and what Hotstar is or is not doing, right? I would say visually it makes a lot of impact because you can see upfront what Hotstar is missing, right? It's very easy to now see that, you know, and I think Girish, you mentioned this point as well, children log in and 18 plus movie rating. So a lot of the points come across very clearly. But as you can see, he's highlighted this yellow section, and that is about account sharing and device sharing. And this is a very, 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 very important miss, I would say, that Hotstar is presently has. And that's what he's kind of highlighted in his solution file, which is a Figma file. So this is the better plan, and this is very nicely done screen if you can have a look. And I would say it's inspired by almost all of the apps, because almost all of the apps, correct me if I'm wrong, have this kind of user profile built in. Now this is, so the term is like a family account, dad, then son, mom, kid, etc. Based on that, obviously, then you have recommendations. Based on that, everything, the context changes. Multiple users in one subscription, name of the users enrolled, providing super user like feature, and it makes complete sense. So that's, I think Hotstar may be building it already. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you look at the app that it's something that, and I'll show an example at the end from a friend who's in the US. This use case becomes so very strong in that case as well. But yeah, it's a good suggestion from Farooq. Then he comes to better home screen with new features. So these are more, I would say, usability kind of points. Some are debatable, like watch offline. I don't know how adding it there, what is it linked to? Like, is it linked to one of these? Is it linked to all? Bit questionable, so not sure. Watch offline is a good suggestion, but I think it makes more sense with the specific video, right? Current account, that comes from the first suggestion. And the next one is, yes. So what he's done is he's compared it to YouTube. So you can see this one is, I believe, the Hotstar screen, and this is some of the features from YouTube put overlaid, so to speak, on it. One feature that I personally miss on Hotstar is to be able to jump to the next video, right? That's missing, so he's added that. Few of the nice ones like the social features, which I think he's mentioned here, but he's not justified why it's useful. It's very easy to say, right? You know, add this feature, add that feature. But the justification is more important, right? The justification is more important because then you come to know what the downsides of it are. When we come to Girish's submission, we'll discuss that. The downsides are also very, very important, because the downsides then is the cost that you need to put in. The cost of adding those kind of features is immense as well, and that has to be considered. So the downside was not captured. The suggestion is fair, but the downside was also needed. Okay. Anyway, this is his part, and yeah, this looks very nice, and I don't think it is there presently. So jump to, this is within a particular, you know, series or within a particular channel. If the channel parlance is used, jump to a specific episode. It's very nice, very subtly done. I don't think that is the right place. I'm not a UX expert to say that is, but to me, since I'm an iOS user, to me the back button is always residing there. So I don't know if that is a specific place to have it, but it's better than what they have right now, I believe. And then he has, I think, one more. Yeah, this I did not actually get. Of course, the point is valid, but how is it related to competition? So he says better genre selection. Yes, usability wise, this makes no sense. I mean, here it looks like he's selecting languages rather than genre, because they've, you know, subtitled it with the languages, Bangla here, Telugu, Tamil. So that's a fair usability point. Competitor wise, I don't know how that makes much sense. Then we have the final one, which is from Girish. And Girish, you're on call, so I'll just like to congratulate you. So what we do is, Girish, just a little insight, is that we try to evaluate not just basis what the solution is, but what is it that we can take to companies as well, not just this company, but some other company as well, which is in this domain, whether a solution can have value for that company, right? So your solution is one of the few ones in this one, which is something that a company can actually pick and work on, right? Some of the other ones are there or thereabouts, but the company will have very valid questions in terms of why this and why that. What you've done is a comprehensive job in terms of, hey, this is the point that you need to do, and B, this is why you need to do it. So I'll just run quickly through it. So Girish, very nice effort. First of all, if you have something to share, I think you can go ahead till the time I pull yours up.
Yeah, I think this is it. Like the intent was the same, that to take inspiration from the competitors, and also see uh, what was their intention to add that particular feature. And then when we are talking about Hotstar, they have their own style in which they have presented the content.
Right.
But still, there are some features which can come on top of Hotstar, and which are pretty much valid ones, and that's not breaking anything from the existing system.
Right.
So thought of adding these features.
Yeah, very good submission. And just another point, Girish, like last time with DigiLocker also given a list, and we kind of said that stick to 3. I believe that was the way it was, right? Girish, you've given a list of all the things that they can do. Right?
Yeah.
So now you get why we say 3, or we say 2, or we say 5. The reason is it's very simple to ideate and say, do these 15. It's very difficult to pick these 3 because the impact creating ones you don't know, given that there are so many variables, which is the right one. Did you feel that? I mean, selecting the 3, was it more difficult than selecting 15?
So initially, when I shared it on Thursday to you, I think you told me the same thing, that I think you have to focus on the justification why these features are required, rather than adding bunch of features. So I was just giving a list, but later I thought of, I think I have to justify it with valid screenshots and why it's important. So yeah.
And you can see the impact. I mean, you can see the impact. Yeah, you were saying something. Sorry.
Yeah, that way, I had like around 10 features, and then I distilled all my understanding, and I came up with the ones which are creating maximum impact, as you said.
Yeah, great job. You've done a very nice job. As I said, we can directly approach Hotstar and say, guys, you're missing something. Just take a look at what Girish has said. So yeah, we'll just quickly. Yeah, sorry, you're saying something.
No, I just said thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay. So first was Netflix. He's taken inspiration on one account, which is very similar, as I said, with Farooq. But look at how he's made it more impactful. And I'll just run through this. So what he said is, one account with multiple profiles, personalized catalog. Okay, kid only profile. Now see so there he's mentioned family, Farooq, but he's not mentioned why it is important, right? Because as you know, there's a lot of varied content on these platforms, and PG rated content is something that is a use case from both angles, right? It's a use case not just in terms of restricting access, but also enabling access. YouTube has a kids app. Why? Because kids watch a lot of content. I don't know if it's good or bad, but kids watch a lot of content, and doing personalization for that specific segment. And this comes from our first problem statement from PhonePe. Specific segments, if you're able to go deeper into, it creates a lot more stickiness for your product. So he's justified this. So this 251, and we shared this as feedback to him also. The source he did not cite, but this is a wired source. They do around, Netflix does around 250 A/B tests on live audiences. You can imagine that's what his point is. You can imagine the kind of data points he's getting. So he then justifies what the takeaway for Hotstar is. Make a provision for multiple user profiles with password protection, recommendation engine. So you can understand, right? If I'm the kind of, so I have a friend with me, and we kind of share the Netflix account, so to speak, and you can see the difference between what his recommendations are and what mine are. Now Hotstar is missing on that, right? When I open and when he opens, and I'll show you a screenshot, as I said, at the end, and you will see what the difference is. And we'll come to this point more. Privacy and security, as I mentioned, PG rated and kids only profile, right? So the second one is a bit surprising. Why Hotstar is not doing this more efficiently, right? Users. So this is happening a lot more given the reach that Hotstar is coming to right now. And this happened day before yesterday when me and my friends were watching the India Pak match, and one of us had a subscription, the other did not, and we were like, "Arey yaar, dono pe free mein dekhna," and all of that. So you can eliminate. People are willing to pay. This is a point that is very important, that maybe Indian app makers, I wouldn't say miss, but take for granted, in the sense that they think that If you ask for money, people will not pay. I don't think so. I mean, if you give convenience, people are willing to pay. So the convenience here is that you will get multiple screens at the same time. So I'm at home and my friend is somewhere else or my family member is somewhere else and they also want to watch. With Hotstar, you can't do that. That's my understanding. You can't do that, no matter even if you want to pay them the money. That is a miss for Hotstar because almost all of the other guys are doing it, and then they charge you for that. So it's a convenience that you can pay for, and if that is something that you want, you can go ahead. If you don't want, then you can have a single session as well. So that was his second one. And remember, this is a highly impacting and revenue impacting kind of suggestion. So for example, if Hotstar is I think 199, 999 plans, they can easily charge 1500, and that happens in even DTH today, right? If you have a multi connection, you pay 150 extra and you can put it in the other room, as opposed to going with a competitor. So that is a challenge that Hotstar needs to understand, that it's not about taking 200 extra, but it is 200 going to a competitor. That's a good suggestion. And again, so he drives the point home again. So that's what I said. He makes not just the suggestion, but drives the point home. In Hotstar currently, even after premium subscription, users are not allowed to use the same account for multiple devices. It's very important for retention. And also then you can add things, right? Once you do part A, you can do part B also. You can add more features. So I actually first thought that who cares about all of these? Everybody will go for the cheapest plan. Not so. So people are buying large screens today for streaming content, right? And people notice the difference. If you remember the stream 2 weeks back, I was doing from Mumbai, and I had a friend who came back and said, the stream was nice, not bad, but it didn't look that nice because I'm used to seeing, in HD. I was like, okay, but that was not the point. So you can even see in this kind of content, it makes a lot of difference. The minute you get used to HD quality, you will not go down to less than HD, and it always goes up. So you can charge for that, and people are willing to pay for that. That is something that Hotstar should understand, and they can charge as well for that. And there is enough and more of an audience to pay for that kind of content.
Actually, in the Hotstar, like in the Netflix, if you
Yeah.
just scroll up,
Yeah.
you can see actually they have premium charges for HD. So
Yes,
here
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
you have the HD bracket, then Ultra HD,
Yeah.
and then they are charging separately for that. You
Yes.
you can see the checks on the 800
Yes.
for Ultra HD.
Yes.
So they are charging premium for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's something my friend took, and I asked him why he's taking 800. Like you can get for fun. That's my exact point to him also. Why did you take 800? He said, "यार मेरे पास 55-inch का screen है." So imagine on a 55-inch screen, if you watch HD, you will see very highly pixelated content, and it's very evident. So once you spend 500 rupees, the additional 300 is not so much of a pain as much as when you watch the content at HD only. Given that the 55,000 rupee screen, a 55-inch screen will be very expensive. I'm assuming 50,000 plus at least. You're not making full use of it. There was an ad, if you remember, "Bada hai to better hai." They used to do that content, and then they were promoting DTH. This is very similar to that, right? Then the third suggestion is, so this one is contestable. It would be great to have it. So what he's suggesting is a la carte movies and TV series on rental. And I think there is a two-sided equation to this, and I would love to discuss this because this is something that I was involved in when we were pricing. I was involved with the user research study at Wink for Wink. At that time, it was called Cinema, I believe. They changed the name later on. Then it became Wink Movies, then TV. So the thing we did with user research was we asked them, "Will you be willing to?" So obviously, it's biased asking this question, but anyway, we asked people that, "Will you be willing to pay 50 rupees to watch a movie?" Now, will you be willing to pay 50 rupees for a movie that you want to watch? Yes, I will be willing to pay. So is that how digital rights are priced? No, that is not how it happens. What happens is Salman Khan goes to, say, Star, okay, and he says that my entire catalog of movies buy for 100 crores, and Star buys the entire catalog, right? Star doesn't get to pick and choose. Okay, I will not pick slow motion, the movie which has slow motion. I will pick the movie which was a hit. There is no pick and choose. You have got the whole thing or you got nothing. That is how digital rights are sold. That is how the industry is. Unfortunately, that is how it is. And once you understand this dynamic, you understand that picking and choosing one is extremely expensive. If you remember the days of iTunes, when iTunes brought in that you don't need to buy the entire album, you can buy one song, one individual song. They kind of revolutionized the music streaming industry. But with video, it's not that simple. The industry is slightly different. And if you want to buy one specific one for an entire region, so remember, rights are regional. So if you buy in India, you need to buy in Sri Lanka separately. Maybe APAC, maybe one region might be similar, but if you buy in US, it is not applicable. So buying for a single per user a la carte thing for that company is a very, very expensive proposition. Google, the example that he's given, Google or YouTube in this case, is able to do it. My point to him was because of the reach they have. So if they spend say $1 million, they know that at least even if they give 10%, they'll be able to get back some amount of it. With Hotstar, given that their reach is not that high, and given that the content is, so you also need to remember the content who's producing, right? The content that YouTube has is global content, whereas the content that Hotstar has and has been having largely is Indian content, and it's known for Indian content. It's changing, but you need to understand these nuances. The second part of it, and that is the more important one, is about cannibalization. Yesterday, I wanted to watch Gully Boy. Gully Boy is available on Amazon Prime, but you can't buy just Gully Boy. Now, think about it. Why would Amazon not let me do it? Amazon is as big as Google, if not bigger. Why does it not let me do it? It's about cannibalization. If I buy one individual movie, pick and choose, I will not buy the annual subscription, which almost every business today does. Tries to push a subscription onto you, says that, we've got 90 million, 100 million, XYZ, XYZ. You actually want just one or two, right? You want to cherry pick. But that's not how it works. The industry is right now more focused on trying to, and Netflix did that. Netflix changed the game and said $10 all in. You want whatever you want, you can watch. Now the industry has gone that way. It's unfortunate because what users want is not everything. They want certain series and certain labels that they want to listen to, or certain like GOT. You want to just watch GOT. Good that Hotstar is able to do only for GOT, but the thing is, it's only able to do for GOT, right? The other ones, it will be a very, very difficult thing for Hotstar to negotiate with publishers. Hence, that suggestion is great, but extremely difficult from a practical implementation wise. But a great suggestion. I would love to have that kind of a thing. Yeah. Nishad, you wanted to add something? You were on mic.
Yeah, no,
No.
nothing.
Okay, okay. Because I thought you were about to say something. Okay, so this is just the point, and he just stresses it a little bit more. Hotstar can introduce a la carte model to engage non-frequent users. Hotstar can extend a la carte services to its Hotstar Special, VIP, etc., and romance. So that's it. And then he gives two unique features. Actually, the three. I like the third one better than these two personally. Maybe that's the kind of user I am. But he first is introducing interactive forum. If you remember Kshitij, he also gave the same point, but he just mentioned engagement. So see how Girish develops it further. The second is ratings and reviews, which is very similar to what Farooq had shown, the overlay of YouTube. But see what he tries to do, and this is the difference between. So he says interactive forums. Now look what he's trying to do. Look at the line of thinking. So what he's done is he's looked at Hotstar and he's seen what recent thing has happened. So GOT's last season came in. There was a lot of noise everywhere, no matter even if you did not care about GOT or Infinity Wars for that exam, for that matter, you would know that it's happening. I mean, whether you want it or not, right? But Hotstar had very little leverage that they gained from the after media. I would call it the after media, and I'll show you an example of the after media from the current World Cup as well. The after media is just as important as the current live media or the current live thing that is happening. So a series is happening, but something happens in the internet outside of the series. A conversation around it happens as well. Today, Hotstar, even when they have the content, forget about when they don't have the content, even when they have the content, they aren't leveraging it. And that is his point. He's trying to say that, there were about 4 lakh, yeah, that's 4 lakh and about 5 lakh in this space. When you just want an explanation of what was happening, what is the theory of Game of Thrones? And many of us have tried to go to these blogs and these sites. Why did Bahubali kill Katappa? These might seem very trivial, but remember that there are a lot of people trying to get this information, and if you have it with the content, it's great. Today Hotstar doesn't have it, right? So he's suggesting a community kind of a feature. So that the implementation of it is not necessarily what we are looking for, but I think that's a great suggestion, especially thematic ones, say World Cup related community, say the new one, that the series that they're getting, Office, I believe, something around that. People are conversing about it. What today these guys do is that they go to PR companies or to blog companies and ask them to push articles on the digital platform or memes, etc., in a way that is not direct. Why not do it on your own platform? You have a brilliant platform. Why not do it there itself? Is his suggestion. I love that suggestion. I honestly think that's something that's worth doing. But there are downsides. As I said, the downside I'll explain at the very end of it. Right. So these are the memes that he's kind of pulled up. This is from Mirzapur, I believe. This is Game of Thrones, and this is from Reis. The second one, rating and reviews. I have a concern with this one. So rating and reviews, IMDb, as you might know, has been bought by Amazon, which is a direct competitor. So Amazon wanted to corner that space. So maybe Hotstar is not allowed to use those APIs. That's why Hotstar does not have an integration on IMDb. That's my guess because I don't see IMDb ratings. The other point about IMDb ratings and reviews is that they were touted to be the most toxic kind of community forum on the internet. So they had to shut down that comment section. It's unfortunate. The thing is that whenever you open up access to the public, you give them a tool. Now the tool can be used both ways. It can be used positively as well as negatively, and you don't have control. That's what you feel, but you always have control. You can build checks and balances. So the downside, the part I was mentioning, the downside is that you need to create a team then which moderates content. You need to create algorithms which understand if there is content that should not be put on forums or discussion forums or should be removed in a certain amount of time frame. It's a big problem area for almost all the large organizations which have user generated content. YouTube has a massive problem with that. Facebook, if you remember the recent incidents, it has been having tremendous issues with that. So there is a downside, and it's very easy to say have ratings, have this, but the downside is also important. So Girish, maybe whenever you are thinking about this, maybe later on as well, think about the downsides as well. You'll be able to understand what more can be done to make it simpler for users. Because remember, if it's a toxic forum, then you will lose the users that you already have as well, right? So this was the second suggestion, and the last one was about, I love this feature. I think this is something that's going to develop a lot in India. Audio only free streams, and YouTube doesn't have it unless you're premium. So in the background you can listen to audio as well if you just want to do that. So that's a great suggestion from Girish as well. So I'll just round. Girish, anything to add? Just do that. So you can do that now based on what we suggested to you as feedback, or if there is something more that you wanted to add that you could not do there.
Yeah, Akshay, I really liked the way you taken us through all the feedbacks that you have. I'm just thinking in terms of learning this. When you're saying there are a few downsides of this particular, so let's say we are talking about comments, and there will be some filthy comments which will be coming about the movies, and that will actually collapse the value of that forum. But it is something which will be both sides, right?
Yes.
Like it will be engagement from the one side, and there will be this kind of trash from the other side. So how do you see which is more important, or which will be taken, like which we will consider more, rather than there will be downsides to everything, right?
Yeah, just hold on for 1 second. Just hold on a second, right? Just hold on. Yeah, just had a bell at the door. Okay, there will be downsides to everything, but the thing is that you need to understand the cost. That's what I was trying to mention. The cost of trying to get a forum or an engagement kind of thing is that you need to have a team that you build, right? So it's very easy to roll out. And if you see the Hotstar app right now, they have a chat-based interface presently running for the World Cup, right? It is, I don't know if it's creating engagement. I don't know if it is making things easier for them, but I don't think it is moderated as well, right? So when you're making this feature, the downside has to be played out in such a way that you have a team which looks after it. Whenever this content is being generated, there will be users who will get offended by it also. How do you deal with that? Most of the companies right now are not dealing with it. So there is no real ready answer. I had somebody from a parenting company reach out to me, say we're getting a lot of spam. So what users were doing was reaching out to mothers on the platform and trying to chat. I said, why don't you have basic checks such as a mobile number verification, etc., etc. And they said, hey, these are good features. So you need to understand that sometimes what happens is in the chase, in trying to chase engagement, we forget the basic hygiene checks that you need to do, right? So for example, if Hotstar wants commenting to come in, they can have checks and balances coming in, so as you know that if you do something wrong, you will be not prosecuted but held liable for whatever it is that you're saying if it is wrong, right? Those balances need to be built in, which has a cost. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Akshay. So I really got your point, but
Yeah,
I'm just coming from the design background. I'm
yeah,
just throwing the ideas.
yeah,
Do you think there is a need of like obviously there will be client who will
yeah,
be verifying your ideas and he will be actually thinking which one to take forward.
yeah.
But do you think there should be someone else, or we should build that as a capability within ourselves as a UX designer?
Hmm.
How we will be able to get these nuances that you are actually discussing it right now? Like there will be team who will be actually filtering the content based
Yeah,
on the quality and everything.
yeah,
So we really don't know. So this is just one aspect,
yeah,
but there could be features and there could be some aspect that you have to consider
yeah.
based on the features that we are coming up with.
Right.
So do you think we should consult with somebody who is expert in this area, or whom we should actually talk to
Yeah.
when we are coming to this suggestions versus actual implementation points?
Right. Fair enough. That's a very, very good question. I mean, we can have an entire session just on that, because that is something that I have felt since we've been working on UXHack, that designers, I wouldn't say lack, but designers feel a little scared of. I'm using the word scared, which is a strong word, is that they say, how do I get to this? So they see a product manager is able to do this, right? I believe that is what you feel. That a if I'm a product manager, I will be able to understand how all these nuances work out, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But I'm a designer and I'm not able to get it. I'll
yeah,
tell you something. I'm not a designer and I was not even a product manager. I've done an MBA, and after that I've learned product management on the job. How do you do that? Is that you respect everything and anything that comes from a user. And that is the most important part that most designers miss out. So designers are very creative people, and that's a great quality. But creativity with constraints is something that not all designers get. You will get that constraints when you know what the user wants. When I say wants, is that when they give you feedback, I don't know how many designers go back and check what comments are coming in, not from designers but from actual users for their product, right? Even in all the solutions that you've seen, especially in this LH2, the first one had a little bit of, because there were a few UX researchers, very little UX research in terms of user research has happened. So when you speak to the user, the end user, all of these things, the problems start cropping up, right? So when you say you want to drive engagement, the downside, how will you come to know? You don't go about saying, what is the downside? That's not how you go. You say, hey, this is a feature. What do you think about it? Somewhere down the line, if you listen very clearly, you will see the user trend coming in, that the downside is this. They will not say it. You need to pick it up, and it's a skill that you need to hone slowly but surely. I believe that through these exercises that we are doing, you will have picked up one or two nuances yourself, right? Something that maybe you were not aware of. But this is how you do it. I mean, whenever you do create a product or a design or a feature, you just speak to maybe a user, maybe another product manager, and that is how you build it. There is no science to, in terms of, these are the checklist items that you need to do. Slowly what happens is, once you observe this in other products, so for example, whatever I've stated right now is based on Hotstar with relation to other products, right? So somebody has already done most of the things that you're going to design. You just need to see which other products at scale have been doing and what are the challenges they are facing. So now you've got users who are talking about your product based on what you've given. Don't think about clients. I mean, clients are like, clients are who give you money. People who give you money, they will not be very honest with you all the time. So don't think about the clients as much as thinking about the end user who's going to use that application. If possible, always do an interview with that person post your creation, or ideally before you create the product. You'll get some nuances. The other one is looking at similar products that are there in the industry, or speaking to friends who work in companies who work on such products. You will get those nuances from there as well. And as I said, it's a skill that is honed over maybe years. It's not something that you will pick up overnight, right? So because I've been open to listening about what is Hotstar, what is Amazon doing, I'm able to pick up these nuances. It's not somebody who's come up to me and taught me this, but it is something that you pick up along the way. But yeah, two things are important. One is listening to what the user says, not the client as such, and obviously looking at other products which are working at scale. Was that helpful?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, Nishit, anything to add to that? Otherwise, I'll round off with two things that I wanted to share.
Oh, I think Eric, that was good work, and it was quite comprehensive. I
Right,
think lots of the points Akshay has covered,
right,
and yeah, we both from product backgrounds, and I felt, with respect to design, that designers generally look only from the, visual aesthetic. Keep observing, and keep the user at the center, and you will start uncovering, a lot of business aspects as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just round this off. We've had a very nice kind of discussion on some points that I've always wanted to speak about, but I'll just round it off speaking about the specific use case at hand, that is Hotstar, and two examples. One is what Hotstar is not doing that the competitor is doing, something that I would have loved to see. So the World Cup is on right now, and remember the number of users who are consuming the World Cup at a given match, and this is not the India matches, the other matches, say South Africa, England, or yesterday's match, England, Australia, is a lot more, and you can get data points from YouTube for that, is a lot more than the live event. So after match kind of event. So when you go to Hotstar and try and search, this is the not the app, but yeah, the app also the experience is similar, maybe it's a little worse. World Cup highlights, this is what is throwing up. There is no sorting, there is no dating, there is nothing in terms of what this content is, just thrown as a tile based interface to you, right? So this is highlights. They have the content, remember, they have the digital rights for it. At the same time, what ICC has done, and I go to YouTube, ICC has a channel. The minute I search same term, World Cup highlights on YouTube, look what it has given me. And with that, it has also given me views, view counts, and the time, and also badge on its new. So this is a very, and obviously the most important point, it's a 6-minute video only, as opposed to something on Hotstar, which is a huge video of around 15 minutes. See, this is the one, Bangladesh, New Zealand, 15-minute video. So these aspects are very important that maybe Hotstar can pick from a simple use case such as the World Cup. I call the World Cup as a use case because it's a huge event, and as I mentioned, for Hotstar, cricket is very, very important. The other one that I wanted to show is that, so as Girish had mentioned, it adds engagement, and I'll just show you, this is the highlights, 15 minutes as I mentioned. Yesterday's match, England, Australia, and this is England, Australia, same thing, 6 minutes only. Remember, people like shorter videos when they're looking at highlights. Now look at the engagement here, right? So sometimes people say the content on YouTube comments is more interesting than the video itself, and that is true in this case. Oh my God, look at 5 minutes to kya hua. So this kind of thing adds value, whereas when you compare to what Hotstar has here, absolutely nothing, right? So I get your point completely, Girish, that you need to have those nuances, but remember, when YouTube is doing this, it also has certain filters pre-built in. I don't know if Hotstar has developed those filters at all. YouTube can do its job even better, right? But remember, 6,000 comments, 7 million viewers for this 6-minute video. As compared to this, I have no clue whether anybody even watched this. Given that they have data points also, but they're not showing it. So there are elements that they can pick up. Remember, it's content that they've bought. It's not like user-generated content. It's content that they've bought, but they're not leveraging it well enough. That was one. The other one was related to the point that Farooq and Girish had both mentioned. So this is a screenshot of my friend's app from the US, and what he's showing right now is, so he has a subscription which they said that I don't know why it's 99 there, but the plan pricing is different. Now look at this. He's taken the subscription for watching the World Cup live in the US, and I asked him, why are you watching Kasauti Zindagi Ke? Ye rishte hai pyar ke. Why are you doing this? So this comes from the point which you guys have mentioned very, very correctly, is that there is no categorization in terms of that is for his mother. So what he's done is actually he's bought the subscription for his mother as well as for himself. Now they use the same account. Unfortunately, there are no two accounts, and you can clearly, when you see it as an example there, you can clearly see how that affects the user experience tremendously. I'll just pull that screen up. This is not what he wants to watch. He wants to watch the World Cup, but that is what he's getting. So that's pretty much it. And I hope this has been a great exercise for you guys. Girish, for you, you're the only one right now here, but whoever watches the stream later on. And 2 points that we were just discussing before the stream went live is how we can develop this further. One was we want more participation. So we'll be sending out a feedback form to everybody who's registered for the event. The participation numbers aren't as high as the registrations. There have been a lot of registrations. Participation has been, good. And some cases like Zomato has been amazing. This case also has been very high. But we would want a lot more participation to come in. So how do we get people to submit, not solutions as such, maybe, make it simpler for you guys to submit your thought process. That is one point that we wanted to make. The second one, Girish, if you can just, you said, how would we go about solving it, right? That's what you had mentioned. So that is something that we are trying to work in LH3 that we will be coming out with soon, is how, if we were given this problem statement, not just us, because we also don't have huge amount of experience, but an expert, so to speak, how would he or she tackle this problem statement, and what are the things that they would look at? Because you will learn from others, peer learning, from us, from the feedback that we give, but I'm sure from experts there is a lot more to be learned, because they've seen so many more products, and given that they will have industry experience, that is also something. So we'll build that out, and we will share details on that soon. We are working that up, and it's great to hear that feedback from you, Girish, that that is something that would be of interest to you, not just for you but also for people who are joining the UX, and there are a lot of people who are joining the UX field right now. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Anything else, Girish, that I did not cover that you wanted input on?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think this particular forum, I think, is for the UX designers and product
Yeah.
designers,
Yeah.
as I can think of.
Yeah.
Uh, and there is natural transition that I think, which starts with maybe for the graphic designer to start with building graphics, then actually build strategy behind it, like UX, and then in product management you actually see how you will be building that application and selling it to the customer,
Yeah.
and all the other things.
Right.
So I think what we covered in the four challenges is transition between all these items
Yeah.
towards product design. So
Yeah.
was this intentional? Are you thinking in the same lines, that like the once we become UX designers, it's quite obvious that after some time we will be actually owning some products, will be responsible for building those products, and we will be dealing with business as well as the user needs. What
Yeah,
do you
you
think?
yeah, you pretty much stated exactly what I would say. Yes, that is exactly the reason why we chose not just the specific products, but the kind of problem statement around those products, because we want you to see both sides. I mean, it's very easy for me to say that, go ahead and do this design, come up with this mock-up, come up with this, and that is something that you do on a daily basis. At least that is what you start off doing. But that really has very limited value in the real world. We've seen a lot of people putting up mock portfolios and trying to get feedback on it. I don't know how useful that is. And that's where we, both of us, felt that what matters is what is applicable in the real world. And with real world, you get constraints, you get priorities, you get problems from users, and not just, a white canvas. So we try to create that gray kind of canvas, saying that, you need to find the white areas and you need to paint them. That is what we're trying to do. And you kind of, captured the essence. That is what we're trying to do. We are trying to make designers understand that there is a gap between what you learn and what you do with tools, and what maybe the companies want out of it. So the best of designers understand this as they grow. Maybe through these exercises, what can happen is, since you've been exposed to this kind of product, so for example, now you're exposed to Hotstar and the three coupled products with it. If something of that nature comes from your client, you already have a head start in terms of the thinking. Maybe the context is different, because the problem will be slightly different, but you have a slight head start. We can't cover all the use cases, but we want to help you with the thinking of what should go in a product. Remember, some of these use cases or the problems also are something that we validate with companies, sometimes pre, sometimes post the event. And in most cases, these are things that the companies are facing challenges with as well, even now. So whenever you are working on these problem statements, it's something that if you approach these companies for maybe jobs, or if you approach companies in these domains and you say that, I worked on a hackathon, so there are those kind of people as well, right? There are people who are transitioning not just within UX roles, but within companies. We believe this will be helpful, not saying that, I did this project for this company. That can also come, there can be use cases where a company puts up a problem statement themselves. But saying that, I worked on a project whereby, I had to, within this constraint, work on solving for this problem. And that is something that is a conversation starter. Then it is all up to you in terms of how you leverage that space. These are the two large use cases that we are trying to do, and if there is more, we are happy to add to that. I mean, we have enough of scope whereby we have enough of products and enough of problems. Plus, we also want to improve products by themselves. So one insight is the PhonePe one, which I mentioned last week, is that they came back and said they really liked what we are doing and they would like to engage further. We interacted with Bloom. They also like what we did. Bloomberg Quint. If you see, actually, I've been seeing changes in Bloomberg Quint, and the experience is improving. I don't know if it was as an outcome of this, But that's the third kind of thing whereby we want the products to improve, not by going to them and saying you're doing it wrong, but by showing that if we put this problem to a community, this is what they're coming out with. And this is something that we're going to build in the next one. We just want your insights on what is your thought process on a particular product, as in, do you find the user experience of that product, you can rate that experience. That will be a feedback loop to the companies as well. So yeah, these three broad areas, but yeah, we are happy to expand them if that is something that the community needs, and that's why we'll have a feedback form which we'll send out to you after the event.
Yeah, I just have a parallel question on the same line. I think what you're saying is perfect, and the feedbacks, if you can actually take up to the company, and if they actually see that feedback and see the value in it, that's a credit for that designer as well.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, are you thinking on in terms of these lines that since we are presenting the solutions to the business, is there a possibility that business will come tomorrow and say that, why don't you arrange hackathon for my company, and we are trying to build this feature? Do you have reach to this 10 or maybe 10 or 50 people who are trying to build design? Why don't you throw this idea and take their suggestions, and based on that they might be having some remuneration that they will give, or some benefit that they will offer. But more important thing is, like, companies organizing that thing, and then people will be more serious from the engagement perspective that we were discussing.
So that's exactly what we want to do. So that is absolutely what we want to do. We've seen that doing that. So so it's been about one and a half year. We've been trying to reach out to companies, arrange hackathons with them, try and find a space whereby it works out for us. There's commercial viability as well. We feel this model works much better because companies are listening more to us than they were previously. So that is exactly what we want to do. And as I cited an example from PhonePe, the thing is that there is a gestation period for everything, and sometimes those ideas get dropped because not everybody is open to that idea of hackathon karte lete feedback. There are certain companies that are very open, certain which are not. But yeah, there will be certain cases whereby a company will come, and we are very, very hopeful, given the engagement levels that we are getting, given that certain companies are reaching out to us, that something will fructify very, very soon in terms of that they will host the hackathon, they will arrange a certain remuneration. That is definitely what we are working for. That is absolutely the end point of what we want to do. We ideally want only companies to host challenges. Then we would not have a learning hackathon. Learning will be a byproduct, a positive byproduct, but not the only reason why we do it. Yeah.
Absolutely, and there are very few which are actually working in this space, like UX hackathon per se. So it will be really unique in of its kind.
So the thing with uniqueness is that it is very difficult for people to understand it also. That arey yaar, kaise hoga? So what we're developing the product so it becomes easier for companies to understand. But one insight that we've got is that companies outside of India are more open to this because they've seen this work for them. Companies within India are just getting there. As we were discussing, that we are a little bit before time in terms of the product as such, and also the product needs to be much more simpler for companies to adopt. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. Great. Thanks. Yeah, Nishit. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying you can expect a lot of things. We have a lot of insights from the market. We are trying to do, on the same lines. We are trying to see how we can bring.
Yeah. So Girish, just one more point is that something that we'll test out very soon is that besides you just submitting for this hackathon,
you're live, right? You have not stopped live now?
No, we are still live. You can go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so Girish, one more thing that we are going to roll out, and we'll take your feedback, everyone's feedback, and then roll it out, is that the solution that you have has value by itself as well for companies in this domain or similar domains, right? So we'll be trying to create a model whereby it is like a marketplace for designers, because you've already done the work, right? So there will be companies who will be looking for this kind of, not just companies, there might be individuals also. So that's something that we're building. It's in the works. It will be coming out very, very soon.
That's great.
Yeah. All right.
Sure.
Great. So thanks, Girish, and thanks, Nishit. The end of Learning Hackathon 2. Hopefully we'll have Learning Hackathon 3 coming around soon. A lot more problem statements, more hackathons, and more fun. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thanks, Girish. Thanks, Akshay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.